Before you listen, if you enjoy the stories and want to hear more, then please consider subscribing. Most of you listening aren't subscribed, so please take this time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you'll never miss a story and be the first to hear. You'll also be supporting me. Thank you. I recently had the single most terrifying run-in with the law thanks to this supremely shady Craigslist coat dealer who conveniently forgot to mention the bag of contraband buried in the jacket pocket he sold me for dirt cheap. I somehow escaped federal prison by a hair after discovering said felony narcotics planted on my person, leading to a dramatic chain of chaotic events with this less than scrupulous character that still haunt me. It all started when I came across a posting that in hindsight was way too good to be true. Some guy practically giving away what looked like brand new quality works at coats for a steal. Against almost every instinct of reason, I messaged him asking about availability. And oh boy did that open a gnarly can of worms. This dude, Steve, enthusiastically hit me back faster than seemed humanly possible, gushing apologies for his delayed response, and ensuring me had plenty of canvas Carhartt coats, left in literally any size I could dream of. This immediate urgent accommodation definitely caught me off guard, considering the almost implausibly budget basement pricing yet again. But curiosity and fate had me hooked. We arranged to quickly rendezvous that very weekend out in the sleepy suburbs where Steve resided for what he called a fast cash exchange to unload inventory. Pulling up on date at the address provided, an innocuous lower middle class neighborhood not unlike the one I grew up in, I surveyed the home searching for anything peculiar that might raise eyebrows. Jeremy Renner could be behind any of these doors, selling pharmaceutical contraband for all I knew. But astonishingly, everything appeared calm and commonplace, no real red flags from the outside at least. Exiting my truck there in Steve's driveway stood my new apparel friend himself, grinning widely just like his profile pic, a pristine-looking standard work coat with tags still attached in hand, as promised. We shot the breeze about warehouse labor shortages while I promptly Venmoed over mere dollars in exchange for what seemed like an incredible windfall find for my thrifting resume. Though internally, I couldn't fully silence the cynical questions around how legit this all was. The very next day, I decided to deboot my discounted designer workwear to grab some hardware store goods. The whole trip, my skeptical girlfriend side-eyed the garment, convinced it crawled with bed bugs, ranting it must be a certain level of dirt stupid trusting some CDE dealer named Steeble43 at face value. Whatever, lady. Then, after reluctantly modeling my Carhartt for her skeptical self, she still admonished I looked straight goofy for wearing a summer coat mid-November. I doubled down laughing her female paranoia off, all the way out the door already making rugged plans. But faster than the time it took drive to the store, my reality got flipped, turned upside down coming home later that afternoon. Reaching to grab my lucky Bic from the right jacket pocket, I extracted something decidedly not my lighter, something all too familiar from my previous life, yet utterly paralyzing, finally registering through fearful adrenaline haze. Heart seizing in panic once grasped, I desperately attempted amateur scientific water testing and melting theories to somehow disprove what my brain knew and my eyes held, a little baggie with unmistakable white powder contents nestled inside. The stuff Mom warned you about, when the last-ditch hope tests instead morbidly confirmed the darkest creeping truths about said substance's illicit chemical identity. I started rapidly spiraling into fight or flight. Had the seemingly upstanding suburban father intentionally planted hardcore Schedule 1 narcotics on me via his dodgy discount workwear front? Was Steve somehow involved with sinister gangs weaving complex top-secret handouts of product to unknown contacts who responded via coded listings? Were intricate mob surveillance entities already tracking my financial purchase and location data from this guy's brazen encrypted communications hub? Was I unwittingly about to get muled into a 10-year federal sentence for some wannabe Tony Soprano I'd met randomly on the world's drag central known as Craigslist? All semblance of reason, sensibility, and self-preservation left my absolutely terrified mind in that pivotal fight-or-flight moment. Operating purely on adrenaline reflex now, I impulsively rushed to begin flushing the questionable powder contents down the toilet, and sprinting outside to deposit the supremely tainted vessel into my locked garbage cans wearing latex gloves. As I finished nervously triple-checking the immediate area for any suspicious activity or witnesses, My frayed synapses somehow convinced me possibly contaminated payment links may further jeopardize my already dire legal situation. So, my infinite dubious wisdom under literal drug trafficking duress, I immediately re-Venmo'd that dealer Steve his filthy back alley drug cartel money back in case scrutinous popo in sniffing through cyber paper trails later searching for plebeian mules like myself. And we'll just keep the unconfirmed events hypothesized to unfold next between you, me, and these unsent rambling paragraphs now shall we. After an unspecified village reportedly experienced freak localized explosions, leveling a property in the sprawling burbs days later, traces back to faulty gas line corrosion apparently. Miraculously no unsuspecting innocents harmed in the immolation, though ownership records list one current resident who failed to report any utility issues prior meeting an untimely fiery fate that same morn. Ironically, a hidden underground substance production bunker was also anonymously disclosed and uncovered beneath the rubble once demo crews cleared remnants, absolutely shocking area families who noticed nothing conspicuous occurring next door previously. While no singular perpetrator or motive officially determined in the isolated fiery incident, certain less scrupulous shadow-web sleuth groups seem to share conspiracy theories that vigilante justice was perhaps not so coincidentally enacted by unnamed figures, who felt specific motives to escape their own entrapment unknowingly orchestrated by the now deceased. Other less judicious patrons who previously made dealings in that part of town now serving hard time after getting gifting garments perhaps containing secret contraband bonuses destined for karmic disaster. I still sleep with one eye open while hypothetical tempers hopefully cooled off regarding said situation. Cautiously optimistic, ambiguous loose ends left my reluctant, exploited patron profile drifting under law enforcement radar so far, but would now bet several appendages and organs that extensive vetting on all future retail sellers online before payments rendered may be judicious going forward. Who knows what other insidious boobay traps cretins craftily sow, hoping to prey on optimistic e-shoppers just trying to save a little dough. Could be your very civilian asylum at stake, or worse. Holy heck, let me tell you about the straight bonkers ride I recently found myself on trying to make a quick buck selling an old iPhone on Sketch Central known as Craigslist. Nearly got straight jacked by this wanted punk con artist frat bro type in a grocery store parking lot when me make the swap. Lucky for me, and off to be Popo witnessed the whole darn attempted heist go down and busted this brazen thug. Still though, thankful as I am, the whole mess gave me wicked bad anxiety about future private online sales with possible shady strangers in the future. So here's how she all went down. I'm just chilling one lazy Sunday afternoon, fresh off upgrading my mobile devices and pretty stoked on my new fancy iPhone 12. After I finish transferring all my essential junk to the new daily driver, it hits me. Why not sell my now useless old iPhone 8 on Craigslist or one of them apps to try and cash in a little? Gorgeous new phone don't pay for itself, unfortunately. I figure an easy Benjamin or two can come from passing the relic on to another civilian just fine. Be pretty dope supplemental income source actually with holidays coming up on this year's stingy paycheck situation. So I hop on trusty old Craigslist to toss up a quick sale listing. Make sure to hype up all the phone's bells and whistles in the pics and description. Wanted to make this bait extra juicy and enticing for potential buyers cruising the electronic classifieds. Within literal hours, my inbox started blowing up with hella prospective buyer inquiries. Most be obvious copy-paste low-ball bot scams or overseas buyers requesting shady wire transfers. But one message pops out, this cat brat hits me up. Says he's a college student, super eager to snag my iPhone for the full cash asking price, if we can meet up ASAP. Claims he desperately needs a replacement phone cause his got tragically stolen off campus last week, leaving him struggling for class and his job. Sob story seemed a little sus and desperate, but meeting locally seemed chill enough for a casual introductory deal. So me and this Brad guy messaged back and forth, settling at a public grocery store lot to make the trade the next evening. Clear safety choice, cameras everywhere, and plenty of civilian witnesses milling about for my own assurance. Dude tries to steer conversation to some off-road deserted side street suggestions, but no way Joseph was I about to get jumped in a dark alley. Hard passed on that skeevy advance real quick. Let's keep this all public Brad my guy. Thinking I was smooth dodging red flags off rip. Next day I roll on location for the prearranged phone sale. peering around hesitantly for this maybe footboy named Brad. My spidey senses went haywire instantly I spot him. Scrawny pasty bro with bad tattoos and a horrific pink mohawk thing nervously pacing by the entrance wrapped up in a spiked pleather jacket and other cringe 90s punk garb. Definitely screams shady scam alert in my humble opinion. But trying to stay gently non-judgmental, I stride over slowly with the phone physically in hand just in case. Homeboy snaps up the device instantly without making eye contact, looking squirrely as ever. He pokes furiously at all the features, muttering how this better be worth his valuable bread, bro. Once my refurbed antique survives the cruel gauntlet, finally, he begrudgingly approves the purchase while backhand insulting me, saying I'd best be thankful he's doing me a street's favor. Up to this point, I'm pretty appalled by the dodgy disrespect, but just desperate for a clean sale at minimum. Then before I can fully process the insults, this flimsy-esque crook tries to squirrel me with glaringly fake dollar store printing paper bills. My amateur eyes can clearly see this joker's trying to get away with felony forgery like I'm some dumb square right for illegal pickings. My temper starts rising instantly at the blatant attempted duping, but before I can fully react, dude full-on grabs the phone outright from my hand and spins on his grubby boots to sprint off cackling. My adrenaline spikes, instantly watching my precious collateral tick off into the unknown darkness. Things was about to get rowdy now, but against all odds suddenly, I watched this giant beef muscle bro in street clothes run full steam out of nowhere and straight body slam Brad the crook flat onto the pavement like an in full sack. I screeched to a stunned halt, confused watching the chaos unfold. Then lo and behold, backup Dwayne Johnson whips out a badge and cuffs, identifying his off-duty officer status while reading the amateur criminal his long list of impending permanent charges. Amazingly, one of Jersey's finest had been staking out the lot for weeks amidst public complaints about harassment in them parts. A hero. Anyways, long story short, grateful officer returns my stolen merch safe and sound shortly. Meanwhile, attempting robber Brad gets hauled off to the pen after what I later learned is an open warrant rap sheet a mile long for similar armed section charges. Here I thought I was dealing with a troubled broke college kid, but nah, full-on career con man bandito. My weight was snatched bald realizing how close of call I survived. So, fellow side hustlers and entrepreneurial Craigslist dwellers, take heed from my traumatic tale. The economy jumble out there is no joke. Desperate scammers be running absolutely wild, ready to stick up vulnerable folks soon as they think spot an easy come up. And that's the cold facts. My lesson learned is to only meet for business now on approved police-sanctioned safe trade internet sale sites. No more risks caught slipping dealing with characters of questionable intent. Time to leave Wild West Craigslist woes in the past where they belong, praising of the heavens for guardian angels watching over at right times. I kid you not. The other night I was just harmlessly perusing the Craigslist free section like usual, mostly just wasting time. You already know how freaking stone broke I stay as a college student under massive loans debt. Anyhow, eventually, I stumble on this crazy listing from somebody practically giving away an ancient old DVD player for quite literally pocket change. One single George Washington dollar bill. Couldn't believe my eyes. I figured what the hell, might as well take a flyer for that price since my current dad machine finally crapped out on me last month anyhow. So I hit up the seller, who tells me to swing by this real dilapidated looking apartment complex the next evening to grab it. Let me tell you, just pulling up to this place set off all types of internal alarm bells. Garbage everywhere, groups of sketch balls lurking in the corner, tatty curtains in all the windows. But hey, I didn't come this far to wuss out now over a reasonably priced DVD player. I get to the door of this guy's ground floor unit and knock. I kid you not when I say the absolute tweaker who answers looks straight out of a horror movie. Older white dude with rotten teeth, literal death stench, clothes that probably stood upright on their own. Clearly was fiending for his next fix of whatever the hell had this guy clinging to life by a thread. I gotta admit, this was absolutely not the vibe I expected from the polite email exchanges about coming to pick up a cheap electronics item. Trying not to seem rude, I just asked politely if he's the one selling the used DVD player listed for $1. Instantly, this guy's beady meth eyes seem to spark and glaze over with faraway excitement. He starts rambling enthusiastically like, "Oh, hell yeah, buddy, I got that machine nice and hooked up for ya." It was my dear old Mama's before she passed recently, rest her soul. Treat it real gentle, 8. Now look, everything in my spirit is telling me to just call it quits, wish this man well getting his affairs in order quickly, and hightail out this literal haunted house. But me being the broke, willing to risk it all for savings type of cat I am, I just smile and start to pull my wallet out after the heartfelt story, ready to graciously take this poetic hand-me-down off the poor guy's overwhelmed hands. But then this emaciated dude surprises me, getting even more animated if it's possible. Oh, wait 1 sec, my guy. You know what? Let me toss in this big old box of random tids I've been trying to get rid of too. Yeah, man, go ahead and take all these on the house for ya. Just help me clear some clutter around here, you feel me? In that moment, I knew I had surely perished back in the chaotic parking lot somehow, and this was my eternal Sisyphean damnation. Being endlessly offered sketchy handouts I didn't really need from a meth pipe mirage deep in the hood. I mean, every single one of my senses and self-preservation instincts were violently screaming hell no, retreat immediately. But hey, I was already there. Dude seemed so oddly desperate and delighted to unload everything on me. Plus, who doesn't love free mystery stuff atop a killer bargain electronic? So I hesitantly just smiled and graciously accepted the big dusty box of random duds along with my still reasonably priced vintage deed player. He seemed so weirdly emotionally invested in me taking them too, I truly didn't want to find out what unhinged meth paranoia might unleash if I refused. Fast forward to later that night, I finally get a free moment to assess these free devs I scored. Just as expected, honestly, pretty much all of them were straight up dollar bin quality and utterly mundane. We're talking messy stacks of little kids' cartoons, lame sci-fi B-movie flops, a decade-old nature documentary miniseries. Typical stuff you see littering thrift shops that nobody wants. I keep sifting aimlessly through the banal titles, just tossing each case aside until near the bottom. I catch a glimpse of something I hadn't noticed before. Lo and behold, buried in the mix was a single mystery disc in one of those clear cases with zero cover sleeve or info labeling. Completely blank face, but a regular pressed silver dude inside nonetheless. Now my curiosity is beyond piqued. Maybe somebody just burned some old personal video footage here for safekeeping. I mean, hey, could be comedy gold getting a glimpse of some awkward 90s family vacationing or Christmas is past if I throw it on. Pop that unmarked puppy into the player I scored, kick back to finally enjoy whatever random retro home movie memories were tucked away on there. But buddy, was I freaking wrong as all hell, just expecting some seasonally wholesome type hijinks. What had gotten said from literally frame one was this real grim, hyper-distorted, silent film type footage. No dialogue, just eerie vintage film grain and jumpy handheld cam action. And I ain't talking no Charlie Chaplin silly walks performance either, folks. This was blood ritual hooded figures creeping ominously round a stone altar type diabolic witchcraft realness from the pure depths of Hades itself. I'm talking faces obscured by dark capes, fast flickering infernal imagery I could barely make out around this raging fire under the moonlight. The sheer ambiguous terror had me levitating, searching my soul for answers. Like was I glimpsing some secret society's confidential rituals, Illuminati eyes wide shut madness. I sat there in silence, just taking it all in petrified. What discovered this unholy artifact? Where did it come from, and what sinister worship did I just blindly stumble into? But rather than doing the rational thing and immediately destroying such an obvious conduit of Beelzebub directly channeled into my intimate living quarters, I just kept watching. Kept getting sucked deeper into the swirling abyss like a limp sheep led to slaughter. Even when the first horror movie jump scare hit as it cuts out of nowhere to the same sinister cult now freaking holding hands aggressively dancing round in a circle under moonlight. Camera zooms right in on their faces at one point, pure nightmare fuel, and swear to God, I almost fainted like a Victorian housewife when I realized every single one of these people just had straight up no eyes. Empty blood-gushing red punctured sockets still staring ahead. I had to literally pause and take a long perma-scaring walk around my house to even comprehend the genuine darkness I had encountered. This had to be a prank, like some goofy film school kid's final exam presentation, right? I mean, just had to be creative practical effects and make-up wizardry at play, right? Eventually, I talked my spineless booty into sitting back down and resuming the vile duct tape diathon. What followed for the next few minutes was a truly disorienting descent even deeper down the social media addiction rabbit hole. Except this hole was a one-way first-class ticket aboard the Hellbound Express. I just sat mouth agape, powerless to look away as the whole production spiraled further into violent insanity. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.